Going. I'd like to welcome everyone. I'd like to call to order the August 10th, 2023 meeting of the Monona Community Media Committee. Will, do you have the roll?
Yes, looks like everyone is here. Lois will be showing up a little late. Otherwise,
Perfect. And in that case, is there a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, June 8th? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I would make a motion to approve the minutes
Perfect.
from
Is there a second?
meeting.
I'll second if I can ask for one slight correction.
Absolutely, and that's what we do right now.
Okay.
So now we call for any, so basically it starts the approval process. It's ridiculously confusing. So
All
we
right.
start the approval process, there's a motion and a second, and now if there's any changes, go right
Yeah.
ahead, Bill.
Just to correct the spelling of my last name from Graff to Graf,
yeah,
Perfect.
the economy spelling.
I know how that feels to have misspellings on last names. No. Are there any other changes? All right. So all in favor of approving the minutes with that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm just going to say the motion carries. And moving on, we have an appearance from one of our community members. And Shalene is also going to be speaking a little later on in the meeting, but Shalene, would you like to just introduce yourself and say a few words?
Hi, I'm Shalene Sarate. I'm from Mexico City and I live in Monona.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We'll be talking a little bit later. I'm really happy that you could join us today. All right. So unfinished business, newsletter updates, including the sections on sustainability and DEIB. Anita, I see you're in the room. Amanda also. Is there anything you'd like to share with us about that?
Just waiting for some more submissions to come in for the current newsletter. The deadline's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yep. And then can we meet then? When would be a good time to meet? I would love to do a proofread of it, like whenever your schedule works out. We'll
Yeah, I
figure
think
out.
we'll usually send that out on.
so yeah, what I do there is we go through the process, Anita, Amanda, and then me. And then I do any last minute changes, corrections that may come in based on staff members or the mayor or whoever. And then once that's complete, which usually ends up being like Tuesday evening or maybe Tuesday, I send it for review to the mayor. So I can add you on to that review process.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fine. That
Okay.
sounds
Which will be good because the mayor said she probably won't be able to review it this month because she's on vacation with the grandkids.
okay. That sounds good. All right. So you're just waiting for a few more submissions. I know that I'm ready to push send on the sustainability submission. Do you have anything for DEIB? Because we certainly, a fantastic story could be what we're about to talk about next on the agenda. If we need something for the DEIB section of the newsletter, that's what could be used if you haven't received anything yet.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I look over everything all at once, usually Friday evening.
Okay.
I have something from Thor, a couple others, not too much yet.
Sweet. All right. Moving on to new business. We have some exciting news on the DEIB front and be a more inclusive community. one of the recommendations that has bubbled up from the DEIB committee is for the city to find more ways to bring, more culture and language and then the arts and just to be more of a welcoming city. And Shalene is part of the subcommittee that was focusing on communications. I'm on the committee that's focusing on housing and transportation. A third work group is focusing on arts, culture, capacity building. But communications is sort of Shalene's background. And I know we've met, she and I have met, Will and she have met. You've already gotten in the studio, done some recording. Does anyone want to say a little bit more about what you have in mind?
Yeah, go ahead, Shalene, and I can fill in wherever.
Sure. Well, when we started talking in the diversity, in the committee, we realized that there was a huge need for putting information in Spanish out there, just general public information for everyone. And then we were seeing the struggles and getting feedbacks and everything in all of the areas that we are working in the diversity committee. And I think it's been an idea of mine since before. I'm a mom of 2 little kids, so I am fully committed to them right now. But like Teresa said, I have a background in communications. I worked for radio before, for television and whatnot. And I had it very deep in my heart, this desire of like bringing it to my community now where my kids are growing up. And this was a great opportunity for me to start like getting involved in the committee, and then obviously getting involved with the Latino community here. And then I started doing the research, and there was nothing available, or not that there is nothing, but there is not much available in Spanish. And so one of the things that I was very passionate and driven, it was to explore this area. So I suggested to Will and everyone a radio show with Latin music, but also that it could be available in Spanish, so the Spanish speakers could get to know what is happening, just like from that basic public information to a little bit of maybe more complex information. But also when we talk a lot about diversifying the community, there is like this lack of awareness and lack of, awareness of other cultures or maybe other languages. And I thought it was a great opportunity to also bring that in English for the American audience, to get to know more about other Latin cultures or that lives in this community. So anyways, not to extend it, we just came up with this idea of the radio show that I'm starting. I'm super, super excited, and I'm gonna also be doing interviews that are also gonna be available in video format through the Monona Community YouTube page. Today we did our first recording, and I had Jade Sachs from the school district that works directly with the Latino families and the Spanish speakers and other families from other countries. And so I am just super excited to being able to bring that information about the diversity that lives here, but also to open this space in Spanish for the people that just speak Spanish here. So yeah, I'm just super excited.
I'm super excited. I'm really looking forward to hearing some salsa and cumbia music on VMO, and maybe even learning about holidays. We've got September 16th coming up, which is the Mexican Independence Day. We've got Dia de los Muertos in November. There's some really cool cultural things that you could talk about. So when you've spoken to Will and Joe about, what exactly would this look like? Have you landed on, like, is it a weekly show, 1 hour a week? Is it more than that? I know we talked about station identifications in Spanish, which it's such an easy and adorable little thing, like WVMO, that would be really wonderful. Just that simple little thing, and that can run every day. And then
Joe and I agreed to do it bilingually. So because you guys already have built this beautiful audience that obviously mostly of them just speak English, So I think it would be great to have it bilingually. And Joe and I agreed to do it once a month, the third Friday of the month.
Okay.
Today I realized that the interview, it's gonna last more than the time that we agreed, which is around 25 minutes. But I mean, we can talk details with Joe and Will later, but it'll be mainly that space once a month, and whatever interview I'm gonna do, I will try to also do it in video. So it is also available in that format in social media and all of you guys' community media spaces. So it's gonna be every third Friday of the month. And yes, there is going to be like information about what's happening in the city, historical and cultural data from other cultures, and of course, interviews, as well with Latino music, of course.
Yeah, and I think what's great about that, just playing off of what you were saying, that the interviews go longer than the 20, 25 minutes for the VMO show. What can really be a good promotion for the video portion is through your radio show. We just promote, if you want the whole interview, go to the YouTube channel and get the whole video interview.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty great, Joe. We did it today, and it's going to be so great. I think we'll also have to talk about, and we don't need to get into it with the committee now, about just promoting all together, right? I think once the radio show is ready from today's video recording, we put them all out at once as part of a promotion for everything. And not just release the videos as we get them and then do the show. It'll, I think everything should kind of be a package in some way. Because we're kind of promoting, seems to me, right, that we're promoting both of them at the same time almost. So I think we can talk more about that and what you guys think, and I'm open to whatever, but I was just driving home thinking of that.
Joe has been great. I just wanted to say that Joe is absolutely awesome, and we had a conversation, and he put together this show, and he's been putting promotion out there, and I just absolutely adore the way he has been hosting his show and how he incorporated and welcomed me with this adventure of bilingual flow.
So de nada. So it's just such a great, I mean, everybody benefits, like just what you said there, de nada. I mean, it's everybody loves learning new things. People can pick up language, people can just listen and learn new things. So can you explain to me, I get the feeling, or maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it's not just like this little contained show, but rather a little more integrated into what you're doing in general? Or can you explain it more? Like, what's this going to look like?
Well, one of the issues that we discussed in the committee was accessibility and like other ways of sharing information. And I want to really attract the Latino community and being a very interactive culture, or let's just say it will have more ways of getting out there. And if we use the other tools that we have, like the Monona community YouTube page and the Monona Go app and social media, I think that if we can, well, that's my intention at least, like to put the video format out there available. If people is like, I'm just interested in the interview with this specific person, that they can also see it. I think it just makes it more accessible, but also of course, like this is correlated directly with the radio show. So what I'm trying to do is have it available in both, in the radio, in audio and in video, so they can have more options of accessing to this information bilingual.
So other people feel free to chime in. I have so many questions. I don't want to talk over people, but so Joe, can you tell me, like, what did you record today? What happened?
So today, Shalana was over at the high school with Will and maybe with Brennan, talking with Jade Sox, who's great. And they're going to be turning that into a radio show in addition to the video that was done today. And so that'll be going on the air.
But what did you talk about? What's the show?
Well, as I say, like, I wasn't present for
Oh.
the interview today. However, Shalane sent me a script, and it has to do with access at the school district and kind of talking about our Spanish speaking neighbors and getting them involved with what's happening with our schools, amongst, I'm sure, many other topics. Shalane and I actually had a great conversation at VMO where she had the opportunity to introduce herself to our listeners, and that aired yesterday. And it's my hope to, what I do with segments like that on on the show is I'll take little pieces of that and put it into our traffic. So my hope is to grab a couple of the really fun question and answers that that Shalane and I shared and put those so they're kind of in a more regular rotation in addition to this, you know, introductory show that ran twice yesterday. So, and we've been running promos for Conectados for the last several days, and those will be running.
What
all-
is that?
That's
Conectados is the name of the
is the
program?
name of Shalane's edition of the VMO show. So so look, for example, Beatrix Polly, when she does the VMO show, it's Bees Buzz.
Right.
So and of course I think it's a wonderful rubric, a wonderful name for the show, because the whole idea is connection, and having it in a bilingual format means that we're welcoming in all of our listeners and hopefully welcoming in new listeners as well. So I'll be excited to take pieces of the programs that Shalane will be doing in the coming months, and I will try to integrate some of those conversations into our what we call Monona Minutes, our traffic segments that run where it makes sense to do that. So that should be a way to get more people to listen to Conectados, but also to get that content out to people.
Katie, you had a question?
Really more of a comment, Shalane. My name is Katie. I'm a communications director at the school district. Thank you for being here tonight and for doing that show. And I think you said this already. Jade is the translator for the school district. She's our only bilingual translator. She does every communication that we send. It's our practice to send it with a Spanish translation. She's our only Spanish translation specialist. And I guess, I just am really appreciative of this work. I want to make sure that you know, and that everyone on the committee knows, the EL population, the English learner population in our school district is exponentially growing. We have dozens of move-ins just this summer of people who will need EL services in our buildings. So there is definitely a need for this in the district, and it's not just Monona, right? Obviously, half of our district is also in Cottage Grove, but there is, I think a lot of times we tend to think like, oh, we know what our population looks like, and it really is shifting. We're a fast-growing county and a fast-growing community, and the demographics are really shifting. So I really appreciate it. I thank you for doing the work, and truly, like, if there's any other school district stuff that we can help with, Will has my contact information. He can give you that. We've got EL specialists in every building. And their FTE is growing. They're doing more and more because those families are coming more and more often.
Katie, do you have any, I don't expect you have so many things that you need to keep track of. Any chance you can kind of just ballpark the number of English language learners that you have this year compared to last year, or the year before?
I want to say we had like 40 move-ins, student move-ins this year who will need EL services. And of course, not all bilingual families need EL services. It's, certainly many of them don't need that at all. But those are just families that will need some service from either translation service or EL service in the classroom from one of the specialists. And that's just the move-in rate over the summer. believe, I know we increased the FTE on EL teachers or specialists, but I don't think I'm not sure it was a full 1.0 person. I think we just increased the number of hours that they're working. So it was significant for us this summer. It's always growing, but I think this summer we thought a big
Yeah.
increase.
So cool. And EL means English language?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean,
And then
go ahead.
I just was going to say too, like we actually, like the number was big enough, and there are enough new students and bilingual students who were having our curriculum team is working on like a welcome kit for them so that they can feel welcome. I mean, like we haven't had to do that in the past, or not haven't had to. We haven't had the opportunity to do that in the past because there hasn't seemed to be a need. There probably was, and we just are kind of catching up. But it's certainly not unnoticed in the services in our student services and curriculum department.
Yeah. Is Jade the only person in the district that does written translations?
Yes. So she is our only Spanish translator for written translations. She also works directly with families. I mean, she has a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
So she also goes to conferences with families when the mom or dad or guardian needs translation services. She sits in the conference and translates what the teacher is saying, and translates back to what the parents are saying back to the teacher. The EL teachers do help a lot with that. When we are in a pinch, we do absolutely have people who are bilingual and who sit in on some of those things. You know, most people in the school district, especially at that teacher level and below, are on a 10-month contract. And Jade is one of those. She's not on a teacher contract, but she's not 12 month. And certainly we have communication with our families 12 months out of the year. And so we do have to find some like workarounds. We pay people for their time when they have to fill in for those kinds of things. But she's our only, we have a translator who does that work for our Hmong families. And we have a translator who does that work for in Mandarin for families who can speak Mandarin.
Wow. Okay.
Jade does the bulk of it, right? The bulk is our Spanish speaking families.
I think Susan has a question.
You're muted, Susan.
You're muted, Susan.
I'll see if I can unmute her. Susan, I think I cannot unmute you. Susan, we can't hear you.
I have a mug that says I'm on mute. We start teaching Spanish. I mean, we've had the Nuestro Mundo connection that's been wonderful for us. And we've actually had families move into Monona because they were going to Nuestro Mundo. So we've had very positive connections there. And we also have in the past started teaching Spanish and French in at least intro to that in the middle school. So, we're trying to bring that exposure in. So it'd be fun to have Shalene not only up at the high school, but having kids get excited about it a little younger.
Yeah.
In that integration piece. It's wonderful for us to have this. Absolutely wonderful, as Katie said.
I'm just looking up. Does conectado mean connection or
Connected.
connected? So the name of the program is Connected. Well, conectado. Okay.
But because it's in plural, it means we are all connected.
The connected ones, los conectados, right? Yeah. Okay. Got it. Very nice. Katie, that's so interesting how many families there are. And Susan,
I just wanted to share something super quick.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're going to be able to see the interview, and you're going to see how much Jade Sachs is doing for the school district. It's so much. And it is very, very important and moving. But I just want to, one of the question was what is happening new in the school district, and like it's this I mean, you'll see the interview, but I am just wanted to tell you, you work for the school district. I don't know anyone here yet, but thank you so much for giving her this opportunity to have this connection with the families, because she is this mediator, and I think she does way much more than just interpreting. Like she has
Yeah.
personal relationships with these families, and you can tell right away she has a very strong yeah, she adores these families, and I think it is what she's doing in the district. It's a great example, and it is very admirable, everything that she's doing for the community. I just wanted to share that.
Jade is a lovely woman. She just has such a big heart, and just she's kind and caring. So I totally get what you're saying, Shalene, that yeah, she's when she's translating, I'm sure she's doing it in a way that, you know, puts forward those parts of her personality. So about 40 new families, all the written stuff from the district goes out through Jade. But now, so how does and you've got Mandarin, you've got Hmong. So back to like the community media part of this, right? So you've got bilingual portions of the VMO show. Is that kind of how you're planning on doing this, as opposed to like, well, once a month? That's what I'm hearing. Once a month, you've got this Conectados show, and it will be English and Spanish. You can listen and everyone can understand. And do you have like your topics lined up for what you'll be talking about next?
Yeah, I mean, I do it simultaneously. So this is a whole experiment, because I've always done or just English or just the Spanish, obviously
Okay.
mainly just the Spanish.
Yeah.
So I am trying to do it bilingually. Today was a huge experiment, and Will is not gonna let me lie. I think it went smooth and organic, but we'll see in the final editing. The topics that I have lined up, of course, it's this school district. I wanted to do it because the school year it's about to start, and I wanted to know what was happening with the Latino families in the school district. Also, before I forgot, please, I want you, if any of you can help me to connect with these other families in the school district that are from other countries or speak other language, I would also love to implement this in the show, because I wanted to be explicit about all these other cultures and languages, and not just Spanish, but obviously because that's my first language, that's why we chose that. But I am gonna, well, this was about the school district in September, because September 15, like you pointed, it's Mexican Independence Day. I would like to talk about how we live the actual celebration, which is not Cinco de Mayo. It is
Exactly.
September 15, and I would love to share this with the community. And I have guests from Mexico City and Monterrey, so it's 2 different states in Mexico City, and I would just love to share a little bit of that celebration and what it meant for us historically, and yeah, just the importance of it. And I think it'll be fun to clarify that. That is our actual independence celebration, and we are very patriotic and
Yeah.
very
It's
excited.
something that people don't know. People think Cinco de Mayo is, very different than what it actually
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I go a lot to the Y, and so I love dancing. My background's in musical theater, so I talk with dancers all day, almost every day. And so part of Mexican culture and many Latin American cultures, it's dancing, and that's a way that we connect as a community pretty often, and we use it for mental health and many other purposes. But I would like to talk about with these dancers and what they do in the community, and explain a little bit of the different type of dances in different regions in Latin America. And yeah, just explore this topic, and it'll be a more fun topic. Of course, I thought about Day of the Dead, which is also Mexican, but I wanna make sure to involve everyone. So
Yeah.
I would try to also explore other important days in other Latin American countries. And of course, keep implementing what is happening in the city. So I would like to have PSAs from the library, from Parks and Recs, from you guys, from the diversity committee, just in general. And I would also like to have access to just those public information. I've been hearing more the radio, and I think Joe can really help me with this. Like, you know, this is what we record in English, to maybe have an option in Spanish about constructions or plans in the city or whatnot, to implement it also in the show. But yeah, that's generally the idea. The more I talk in this National Night Out, I talk with a lady that does, I forgot the name of the organization, but they we're talking about mental health and fentanyl. I think it was something about mental health.
So, yeah.
I would love to talk to the community about this issue that is happening right now and have it in Spanish, because I feel that it is fairly new, but it is extremely important because it is very dangerous. And I would like to put that out there as well in Spanish. So like you can see, I want to talk about what's happening here, but also talk about who we are as Latinos and how we can connect in these two cultures and, I don't know, merge them in a beautiful way. That's what I'm expecting here.
What goes through my mind as I'm listening to all these ideas is, that's wonderful. And then the next thing that comes to mind is, what is my role as a member of this committee? Like, do Will and you know, I don't believe this committee determines programming for VMO, correct? You guys, I mean, the VMO crew, you're the ones that have the final decision on whether a show like this happens or not. I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah, I think you could say
Where does my lane end? I want to stay in my lane. You know, I
think it's a lot like Parks and Rec, right? Recreation,
Yeah.
The rec programs start with Jake and Missy saying, we think this is a great idea.
right.
And obviously, if it's not costing a bunch of money, they do it. Or if it costs money, they get it sponsored and they do it.
Yeah.
I look at VMO a lot like that. Like,
Okay.
that's how the decisions are made, is more, Joe, myself, Brennan, whoever it is that's coming to us with a show, we figure out if it works for WVMO, if it works for our YouTube and our goals and missions, and then,
Mhm.
you know, we go for it. As opposed, I mean, I think it would just be inefficient if everything went through a committee or went through a larger process.
Correct. And there's no need for this committee to approve anything, correct? Like, this is already happening. Okay.
Correct.
All right. And yeah, I had a really nice conversation with our new city administrator. And one of the ideas he brought up was, you know, he thought in other communities at the top of every agenda, the purpose of the committee is put right there on the top of the agenda, so that we always know, you know, what our role and responsibility is and where our lane ends, you know. And I thought that was just a very simple and a good idea and a good reminder. So I don't want to overstep. I think it's fantastic what's going on here. Shalini, I think you're going to be very busy.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. So would you mind just sharing a bit about your professional and personal background? You said you have a background in musical theater. You also mentioned you had a background in broadcast, journalism, radio. You've done TV before. I mean, you're definitely a communications person. You got a couple kids, you live in Monona. What am I missing here? Fill in the blanks.
No, you got it. I mean, I'm from Mexico City. I met my husband down there because he was doing a certificate program in narrative and cinematography. He's a filmmaker. So we met there through a friend that I was acting for. He was also studying in El CUEC, which is that University of Cinematography there. Yeah, I did television and cinema and radio in Mexico City. And when I arrived here, I started volunteering and I started doing shows because I also studied musical theater. So I was performing in Mexico as well. So I got here and I started performing. And then I worked for the Midwest Family Broadcasting, which is the radio station and the Hispanic radio station, La Movida. I worked there for a year. Then I started doing the news in my personal social media, in which it was the news in Spanish for the Latino community. It was just the news. It was a very formal show, pretty straightforward. I mean, I have done different performances, singing, a lot of community work like this one. And yeah, I mean, I acted in shorts for the university, and I've done films, and I translate. I just translated a couple of things for documentary. I do voiceover, so I'm a voice actor. So I do commercials and stuff. I mean, right now, everything, of course, went pause when I had my children. I have 2 kids, a almost 6-year-old and a 2.5-year-old that, well, my 2.5, it's with me all the time. And the 6-year-old goes to Winnequa School. And we love this community. I mean, I haven't had the chance to really go to the cities where my media or what I do will be fully exploded, let's say it like that. But so far I have enjoyed it here a lot. I had the beauty of technology. I can do recitals from here to Mexico. I can work for people, but generally I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's my priority. That's what I put all my time and effort, and hopefully I'm doing it correctly. And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this. I wanted my children to see people that are like me, Mexican, in leadership positions. I want them to have access to their language. Just yesterday, I just want to quickly share this because it really was powerful and moving. I was in the car, I was listening to the Joe interview that Joe did with me, and I shared some songs in Spanish. So Leonardo is singing one of these Mexican songs, and he's really singing like how he does. And he's like, wait, is this in the radio? You know? And I was like, yeah, this is not Alexa. This is not Siri. This is the radio.
It's the radio.
And you know, you could see the light in his eyes because he's singing in Spanish. And I had like this moment of like, oh, I am bringing a little piece of my country to this community, and I couldn't help it, started crying. You know, I'm like, this means the more because of our children. And it was a very powerful a moment for me, and that's what moves me and motivates me ultimately. Like, I want the children, my kids' friends, to be exposed to this culture. And yeah, that's my main job, being a mom. So I struggle a lot, but yeah, I try to do that. That's my background, and that's what I do right now.
That's a really wonderful story. Like, and how old is your son? 6, did you say?
He's gonna be 6 in August.
Yeah.
So 22. The 22, he's gonna be 6 years old.
Yeah, I can see him saying like, is this the radio? Like, our music is on the radio in Monona. Like, that's makes a person feel like they belong.
I know, I was crying in the car, and Paul is like, I'm sorry. My son is like, why are you crying? I'm like, I don't know, this is just so pretty.
That's pretty cool. Well, many thanks to Will and Joe, and of course to Shalene. I really look forward to what else the DEIB committee can move forward with and push forward. On every agenda for every City of Monona commission or committee, there's always a standing item, you know, for DEIB initiatives that people want to talk about. I'd really like to see every committee have just like a short list of goals that they'd like to work on every year. And I think we can lead with lead by example here. Community media can do so much to make people feel welcome in Monona. This is just the first step. This is wonderful. So, does anyone have any questions for Shalene or for Will or Joe? Or I know we have some people who have a lot of experience in media and might have ideas, or no. You know, I was thinking for the station identification, Shalene had her son record the most adorable station identification where he just says, WVMAO. Well, actually, Shalene says that, and the little boy says, La voz de Monona. And then he's got the most adorable giggle, and it's pretty cool. Maybe down the road, we can get other people to do station identifications in Spanish. Maybe we can get the mayor saying, you know, WVMAO, La voz de Monona. That would be pretty cool. So, yeah. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next item on the agenda? This was kind of a big deal. Yeah. It's boring. It's budget. So, yeah. All right. Why don't we move on then to talking about the capital budget? So Will and I talked a little bit, so I have a little understanding of what this is about, but we've got basically the way we stream information to YouTube and Monona Go. It relies on the internet, and we need to replace some technology cards so that we can keep doing that. Will, would you like to say this in more accurate terms? I've used extreme ambiguity there.
I think that's the basics. We utilize the municipal room in the lower level of the library for plan commission and council. We utilize the school board room, the boardroom in the school district building. And we utilize throughout the district buildings, high schools, grade schools. Whenever we would stream an event, we utilize those internet connections. And what we do is essentially we have a box that we can take with us to the press box at the football stadium. We could take it to Winnequa. We could take it to another school in the district on the district's network, internet network, IP, their internal local area network. And we can use this box to broadcast back to our video facility at the high school and take that to YouTube, to Monona Go, to the cable access channel. So we have one that can travel everywhere. Then we have one at the district office that specifically does the district board meetings. And then we have one at City Hall, and that one's very specific in that you cannot, it only works at City Hall because it's going from the City Hall city network out of the city network into the schools network. So it has a special software we need to load it on. But essentially we're getting a new piece of, here we have these small boxes in all these places. Then we're getting a big box that we connect to from these small boxes that then takes the signal to where we want to go with whatever we're doing. And the one we have now is working, but one of our return signals that communicates with it is no longer working. Okay, you guys, you said hello. Now it's time to go do whatever you were doing. What? Yes, you can have a popsicle, but you have to eat it outside. Okay, and then for whatever reason, Thursday nights, my wife works like 2 times a month late, and always seems to be the Thursday night we have a meeting. Anyhow, so we need a new box that will help us communicate what we're doing now to get out to YouTube and out to Monona Go and out to the cable channel. It's basically one big routing box for our streaming efforts, if that makes sense. Does anybody want to know more? The one we have now does work, except we're missing one element of it because one of the cards that helps communicate no longer works. That's one thing. For 2, it's no longer serviced or available. It's what do they call it? Discontinued, antiquated already. And it's about 7 years old, 6 years old. So we need to update it so that we're not using antiquated equipment and we can fully utilize what we need to. Bill, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, just curious, where do you purchase this equipment from?
This equipment I may purchase through the vendor, which is Teradek. But I will check with Full Compass to see if they can give me the same deal as the company can. But usually I go through Full Compass for just about everything I can, for local purposes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
So not only do you need a new card, you need a new unit for the card to go into.
I need all new cards and a whole new unit that they go into.
3 new cards.
5 new
Not just-
cards. We
Oh,
don't need, and I don't know if we want to get in, like, we're getting into the weeds here with networking, like.
Okay.
There's 3 cards. District building,
right.
the school that we want to go to, and the municipal room. There's your 3 cards that we can then send to each one of these cards from each one of those locations. That brings it into the box. So now it's sitting in the box and we say, where do you want it to go? Well, we can just take it out. We can just kind of loop it out to the channel. That's easy. But in order to go to YouTube, we have to then, it's all called encoding and decoding. We have to then decode it for YouTube. And we need 2 cards for that because inevitably there is always a choir concert and a plan commission meeting, or a choir concert or band concert and a school board meeting at the same time. And we need to go out to YouTube in the same time in 2 avenues. So it's 3 in, 2 out.
For some reason, I thought you only needed 1 replacement card.
For the old,
You
for the current one. But we can't even get one because it's antiquated, discontinued.
Okay.
That's why we need to just update the whole thing to a new system that you can actually,
Okay. Okay. So 3 new cards, a replacement unit, and then also there was a new computer?
and then just the cycling update of new production computer.
Okay.
And I'm happy to send some links of like, hey, here's how it works or whatever, if you guys want more information. Try to dumb it down and not get too crazy, but I mean, it is fairly significant, right? It's the streaming part of it is what we do, and it needs to be pretty solid. We can't afford to just be kind of bubble gum and toothpicks and stuff. This is the quote I got for just to replace the exact same system and just update it to their new updated model. However, I will research other ideas in the meantime, because maybe there's a better solution. Maybe it's less expensive. Maybe it gives us more options. I don't really know. This is a way for me to say, okay, here's our starting point. Here's, what we need. Maybe there's a better way, but with the options that we need to be able to go to all these different places, limits a lot of other options we can utilize.
Okay, I'm still not sure I understand completely, but sounds like the budget will ask for 5 cards, a unit for the cards, and a new computer. So 3 things.
Yeah, it's
Cards.
essentially, yes, it's essentially a big computer that has 5 cards that helps it communicate.
And then another laptop. When you say computer-
Another production computer, like a
Production computer.
standalone computer.
Standalone, yeah. A workstation. Okay,
Sure.
okay, got it. All right. All right. And when is that due to the mayor?
Basically, as soon as we approve it, I'll have to send it to Mark tomorrow, probably,
Tomorrow?
for the capital budget, yeah.
So are we, okay, so I wasn't I didn't realize this from our conversation before the meeting. So tonight, are we being asked to approve this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions about what is being asked?
And now I may be able to say, hey, we need another week. It's possible. I mean,
Okay.
based on our budget, you probably won't have a problem with that, but
Teresa, I think you started to answer the question I was going to ask, which is where does this decision tonight fit into the process?
Right.
Like approving Will submitting this to the mayor and then she decides whether she wants to put it in the budget?
Correct.
yes.
Yeah.
So we'll do what we do tonight, whether we approve it or decide you're not ready to do that, you know. And then that will get sent to the mayor. I will have a meeting with the mayor and the finance director and explain that to her. And then essentially the mayor submits her budget essentially regardless of what any department head says, the
Right.
mayor submits her budget and then council decides what they want to do.
Right. So council receives the mayor's budget. Technically, that's what it's called. And now the mayor might take something out and council could override the mayor and put it back in. Whether that happens very often, in my experience, it doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it does. Or the council might take something out that she wants to purchase. But
When the city had a little more money, that happened a little more often. In the last 3-4 years, there hasn't been a whole lot of extra money laying around.
yeah. All right. So then that's about a little under $20,000 is what I'm hearing. seeing.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll notice I did not submit anything for the radio station because I'm still operating on the notion that okay, good, thank you. If there is things we need, I will go to the Friends group. Because I know that has been a discussion the mayor and I have had, and that is kind of what we've discussed and what she brings up quite often is, I know they're raising money, I know they have money, and I'd like to see more of how they're using it and to the benefit of the station as opposed to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she brought that up to me as well. I mean, she's pretty close with like the Friends of the Library, and then there's the Friends of the Senior Center who, have sort of shown an example in that area. And she often refers to those two groups and how they raise money. So, okay. All right. So, do we need to vote on this, Will?
We do.
Okay, are there any questions or are we ready to move forward with a motion to approve the request that Will has presented? I'll take either one, questions or a motion.
I'll move to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Amanda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic. Motion passes. All right. So we'll let the mayor say no. Oh my goodness. All right.
Yeah, I mean, one exciting thing is last year, for those of you who may not know, in many previous years, other than the 2023 budget, every year before that, the only money we were able to utilize was franchise fees and the revenue that the school district provided. Last year was the first year that the mayor approved our capital expense be part of the capital budget as well. So that's a pretty big deal. And I'm just assuming that that's what's going to happen this year because we don't have the money in our department to fund this capital expense. So it will be part of the capital borrowing as all other departments do, as opposed to utilizing franchise fees.
There you go. How are the franchise fees looking this year?
They're,
Do-
they're pretty steady, you know,
I mean, do we
we-
have 20,000 to play with from franchise fees?
no,
No.
that's why we had to go, we have no money for that. I mean, in fact, once we start talking operating, we were also, last year, we borrowed, I think somewhere around 12 or 13,000 as well, on the levy, just like every other department on the
Yeah.
tax roll. So
Yeah.
from a, 20, 30 years that this has been in existence, 50 years, they've used franchise fees. And then last year they realized that with the radio station and everything, we had to start borrowing money just like every other department does off the tax roll and the capital
Mhm.
borrowing.
Mhm.
That's pretty great because a lot of cities don't support their media efforts the way
Mhm.
council and mayor and everybody does.
Mhm.
So yeah, if we don't get that support, we won't have any of that.
Do we need a motion tonight to approve your capital budget?
We did.
Oh,
And
I'm
we
sorry,
voted-
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I had to go. Got
That's okay. That's
Therese.
okay,
Oh,
Sue.
that's fantastic. So the
Yeah.
capital budget is already approved. I mean,
Correct.
we're
Well,
all
it'll
come-
go to the mayor. Yes, correct.
Yes.
It'll go to the mayor. Yep, you bet.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So moving on then, we've got two more things on the agenda. Committee reports and sort of a Monona Go booster campaign, if we want to call it that. Make sure I've got my agenda in front of us, reports. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's take those in the other order. Number 6C, Monona Go application downloads. Will you want to speak to that?
Yeah, just in our discussion earlier this week, we talked about the operating budget coming up next month essentially. And I'll have to talk to Mark, but I do believe it might be a one session discuss and approval next month too. So we may want to keep our agenda light so we have time to discuss if you'd like. The Monona Go app needs to be funded every year now. We purchased the new server, as you know, last year. And with that purchase, we wrapped in the cost of building an app and getting the app as part of that server purchase, because the same company that the server was purchased from and that produces the server also produces these apps, which basically are just a duplicate of what's in our server. And so, but of course, for them to continue to service our app and for us to use it, we have to do, it's like a software subscription essentially every year. So that's like a $2,500 operating expense that'll get added this year to the operating expense if we want to keep the Monona Go app. So what we talked about is, well, how many people are using the app and how do we kind of beef it up so that it makes sense for us to pay that money. I know for the Google Play app store, call it that, Google Play, it shows that we have 50 plus downloads. So anywhere from 50 to 100, I assume, downloads on the Google Play. Apple Store won't show you that unless you're an administrator to the app, which I'm not. That's the company's. So I may be able to reach out to them and get that information. I may not. They may not have it or be able to get it themselves. I don't really know. So that'll be an added expense, and I feel like the mayor will approve it because it is only 1 year in the making. So maybe 5 years down the road, if we're still at 50 downloads, maybe we'll decide that that's not worth paying for. But what Teresa and I talked about is, okay, how do we maybe start boosting our maybe not so much promotions, but promotions in a way, but figuring out how we make sure people are downloading the app so that we can demonstrate that, hey, we have a lot of people who have downloaded it and here's the numbers.
Well, if we can only demonstrate 50 downloads, that's not a very strong case to spend $2,500, right? So we either need to increase downloads or I don't know. I would really, I think I just don't see it. I mean, you have to reach out to Apple and
Oh,
get
yeah.
the stats.
Right.
You have to reach out to the company who wants to charge you $2,500 and say, well, then we will, but we need you to tell us some statistics. You know, I mean,
Right.
that's kind of crazy that they won't let you see that. I mean,
Right. I don't know. I haven't reached out to them.
Yeah.
They have to have been approached by this very question. right?
yeah,
They would have
exactly.
to. So,
And you would hope that the Apple numbers are higher than the Google numbers if,
Hope.
like the rest of the world. Our committee chair shamed me into dumping my Android phone and finally going iPhone. Maybe there's more iPhone downloads than there are those 50 Google ones.
right.
The entry drug will, so you're gonna start to get a MacBook and now you can't stop once you go Apple. Okay, so Will, you're gonna reach out and get those stats from Apple. We've got over 50 from Google Play, but we don't know how many over. Are they only showing us the first 50?
I have to do a little more research, but essentially, when you hit 50 or more, it says 50 plus. I don't know when that number changes, like you get 100 and then it says 100 plus, and then this is all I just found out on a Google search, right? I went to the
Okay,
Google Play, saw what it says and went, huh, what does that mean? And then
Yeah.
Googled
Okay.
it. So
so do you know who to reach out to find out more specifics on those download numbers? Do you have what
yeah,
you
it'd
need?
be the vendor. Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta reach out to them
Okay.
and see
Okay.
if they can give me exact numbers.
Okay,
And I'm assuming they can, but I don't know how how it works, but I would assume they would have exact numbers on. Because they're obviously making a ton of these apps for every
just gonna
community
say, yeah,
organization throughout America that they're selling
Yeah.
the server to and this app to, so.
I mean, if they want to charge us money, they're gonna need to be able to provide
Right.
us with some, value for the money information. Okay. I would love to see this app continue to be a part of our world here in Monona, and I would like to do a little promotion on it. If the rest of the committee thinks that's a good idea, what do you guys think? Yes, no? I don't know if any of you went to the barbecue for the Friends of VMO, but a member of this committee, Dave, who I see again, he's being represented by his phone tonight. He had a t-shirt. It was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. And it basically was, do you remember in the e-newsletter we ran, or no, it was in some magazine.
It's a newsletter.
In the newsletter, but also like in a magazine, right? Like some
Yeah.
Discover Wisconsin. I don't know. We ran an ad and the chamber, and it had a QR code to download the app. He made a t-shirt that was that ad, and it had a built-in name tag that said, "Hi, my name is Dave." And he had the QR code. You could actually go up to his t-shirt and download the Monona Go app, which we couldn't stop laughing about that. Downside is each t-shirt costs $50. Not possible. I went out to the web today about an hour before our meeting, and I've learned that for less than $50, you can buy 100 little buttons, the 2.5-inch campaign size buttons. Why not just invest $50 and we all wear buttons? And, winter's coming. You wear the same coat every day, you put the button on your coat, and every day you're a walking advertisement for the Monona Go app or, whatever. I feel like we need to boost this in order, if we want people to use it. Another idea I had is that we are still promoting YouTube. At
Right.
what point do we stop? Because if you talk about YouTube, people will use YouTube, right? And it's not that it's no longer an option, but we need to give both of these products equal billing. We cannot say YouTube without saying Monona Go, right?
Right. And that's again, there's the trick that I will research with this new streaming infrastructure. That's the trick we have, is we can't stream two programs to the Monona Go app at the same time. Is that a big deal? Do we just decide that we're gonna go to Monona Go, and when there are two events, we pick the one that we feel is most important?
Well, I see
Explain
what you're
that.
saying. Okay, so with YouTube, I could be watching a concert, someone else could be watching a city council meeting at the
Right.
same time.
Right. Well, there's not an option with that app. It can only stream one
Oh.
thing at a time, which, right, we have to decide what's the most important, and that or we invest more money into figuring out how we can do that. But I don't, the app doesn't even have the ability that I'm aware of to stream two things at once. So that's a little bit of the snafu. I mean, there is some good and some challenges with the app, hence why it's so cost effective, in a sense that we didn't really pay that much to get an app compared to what you would if you developed the actual app, you know?
So you cannot have two, you can only have one live thing happening, like in real time.
Right, right.
You can have as many different recorded things being watched simultaneously. It's just the live thing. So you have to choose, which one do we stream, which one do we record and
Correct,
people watch later.
correct.
Has that been a challenge so far? Has it been difficult to make that decision?
Well, I don't remember what we did, because we didn't even get it fully integrated till when? March of
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah,
So that we didn't really have that many. Now with the school year coming up, it will be, that does happen. In fact, it happens right away in September, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, there is some challenges with it and some things that aren't so great, but it's also like, right, our app, our way of getting off of YouTube and having our own place so that people don't have to sift through the YouTube jumbles and the ads and all that kind of stuff.
okay. So let's just imagine there's 100 downloads. Let's just imagine that Apple has another 50. We've got 50 from Google and another 50 from Apple. And that, I think that's a very low estimate. Should we set a goal for ourselves? Like, can we get 200 downloads? Can we, if we're going to embark on some sort of promotion, can we set a goal for ourselves that we can measure?
I mean, I think hitting 200 downloads would be a goal, would be a good goal. I think that's a strong number.
Is
Kind
it
of random,
is it-
and it's kind of picked out
Is
of
it-
nowhere, but it's a decent number to say there's 200 people that have the app. I think another thing to think about is, yes, we go $2,500, a lot of money, but it's also not a ton of money compared to a lot of other decisions the city has to make for public works and parks and rec and everything. So not to say nobody would question it or just kind of go and fall under the rug and nobody would care. I think certainly they're going to ask, why is your budget increasing by this amount? They're certainly going to ask this year and next year, or until we get an operational referendum passed. But it's also somewhat of a very small amount compared to the other things that I know you guys are juggling. So I think we do need to get a good firm number. And this is just my opinion, get a firm number, and 200 is decent. But sometimes myself included, I go, whoa, that's an increase, we're gonna be screwed. And then it's actually not as crazy as I thought, because it's not a $10,000, $20,000 number.
How many people do you think there even are in Monona that would download this app? We have 8,000 population, but that doesn't mean we're gonna, I mean, so
Right.
how many adults are there? I mean, people with smartphones who
Right.
care, who care.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I mean, is 200 a big number? I don't know if that's a big number.
10%? I don't know. I don't know what the marketing kind of scenario would be on that. Maybe 10% of the population?
Let's say we get 250 people. That's $10 per person for this app to exist. Would people pay $1 to download the app? Can we charge?
I know, I mean, not that I know of. I don't think there's any way to do that, no.
Okay.
It's a good question to ask them, but I think that we probably, if we wanted to, they'd say, okay, we have to redesign your app so that it can accept
And
money.
it's gonna cost 3,500 instead of 25, yeah. Okay, yeah, Bill?
When the city sends out the property tax bills, do they ever put in inserts like to promote something like this?
Yeah, they do.
Like a QR code on a little
Yeah,
third.
yeah.
paper?
Yep,
That would be after the fact this year, because the decision would have to have been made before then, but for the future, maybe.
water bills also, I think there can be like a little sentence inserted on the water bill, but it's not a QR code. Yeah,
No, but even on that, if you could just put the yeah, just a little one-line message, download this from wherever. That might help.
hey Lois, did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know if you're already doing this, but on the YouTube videos, is there a little QR code for the app?
No, we probably could put a watermark type of thing that we already have in place and make it more, that's not a bad idea. Figure out how to do it so it's not so gaudy and crazy, but maybe we do want it gaudy and crazy to force them to go over to the Monona Go app. That's not a bad idea at all.
Lois, do you
Or
know how
like
to,
a little, sorry, what were you gonna say?
do you know how to do that?
No, I have no idea how to do that, but just like you, I know
No,
there's
it's-
lots of little signs that pop up, so just something like that, because that's the demographic you're gonna want and we'll actually download the app.
Yeah,
How do
it's
we find out, how do we make that happen? Who knows
It's
how
in
to
the-
do that?
it's in the settings of the YouTube channel that we can do. That we have control over.
So Will, you would know how to do that, or someone at the school
Correct.
could figure that out, okay. That's a wonderful idea. That's perfect. Wow, that's really awesome, Lois, okay. What do people think about buttons? Is that a bad idea, good idea? The QR code on YouTube is that's amazing. That'll get the people that are already on YouTube. What about people who, well, I don't know.
Well, the people that we certainly want those people on YouTube already to switch over because those are the ones who are using
Yeah,
it.
right,
And
That's-
actually, Lois, that's a great idea. The more I think about it, we do make it
Yeah, it's brilliant.
ridiculously huge and gaudy and ridiculous. So they're like, well, this is annoying. I'm gonna go get the app.
It's brilliant. It's
Maybe, I
really,
mean-
it's the best idea yet. It's wonderful. Okay. So maybe we don't need anything other than that.
Well, yeah, maybe I research that and next session, I can talk to you guys about what I found out of how easy it is to do that. It's easy to put the watermark in there. If you watch our videos, you'll already see we have a logo in the bottom right corner. What I don't know is if it automatically makes it transparent. You will see that it's kind of transparent. And that may not be what we want for this. We may want to be a little bit more upfront. So I'll have to research that, but it's not, I mean, it's a button. You know, it's a button you press and you download a new image and you say take, and then you upload a new video and see what it looks like.
Why don't we start there? And then if we want to do something more, we can think of something more to do at the next meeting, right? I would gladly wear a button with a QR code. Shalene and Bill, and then Bill next, sorry.
Sorry, I never use a hand because I always have the very bad habit of just interrupting. I just want to understand, you don't want to, you created this app because it is very annoying, all the commercial stuff in YouTube, or because all of the other traffic starts popping up, or?
Well, I think it was another way to reach out and another touch point to the community, to be able to have them be a click away from us instead of having to go to YouTube, type in Monona Community Media or type in the video, try to find the video they're looking for. This is a dedicated app where they can click on it and it's all of our content. It's not all the content in YouTube. It's hopefully making it easier for them to find the video they want to watch that we've created, as opposed to having to go to YouTube, find our channel, whatever it may be, just getting away from YouTube and having our own channel, and getting our own platform.
I think like another barrier that I see, it's like people, just as they struggle to find a page on YouTube, they struggle to download apps. So, I mean, it's just an idea, but like an instructive small video or animation in the YouTube channel. I mean, this is kind of following the watermark, which is a great idea, but just because I don't think people really, not everyone knows how to download an app in their phones.
Right.
Just putting that out there. It could be like, this is for Android, this is for iPhone. Just go to your app store, click here, and then you're a click closer to us rather than just
Right.
the YouTube page. That's just an idea. Because I think a lot of people really struggle. Like my mom doesn't know how to download.
No, you're right. I mean, and you know, the population of Monona is 55 plus, like what, 60% or something like that. So it's not terrible to think there's a lot of more moms out there and dads and uncles.
Or a flyer, same in the library or places where like literally step by step, 1, click here, 2, click here. There you are. A click from us, literally. Just
Yeah.
click up, start, click this, 4 steps, boom. Then you have the Monona go up. That's just an idea.
Anita?
In this next newsletter, since it's back to school season, I could write, I think it helps to be really targeted in the promotions. I know like one segment of the audience for the app would be parents of students, you know, athletes and musicians in the concerts and so forth. I could put a few bullet points about, you know, you never have to miss your student's concert. You can easily access the concerts or games if you missed it, or if you want to share it at your next family event, you know, with relatives who missed it, that kind of thing, to give them kind of a reason to want to download it. I think, you know, when I download apps, usually the compelling reason it's going to make my life easier in some way. So like, you know, targeting specifically parents, like in one of the things in the newsletter. Another one could target specifically people who want to stay on top of community events, but maybe don't have time. They'd like to catch a council meeting, but can't go to them. Get more specific like that. And I was also wondering, do we make money from the YouTube channel with ads or anything like that?
Yeah, I think we definitely could make an ad, a video ad.
I mean, does it have, is there revenue from YouTube from that channel? From, you know, how some YouTube channels, they switch on the ads that play during the videos that bring in revenue to the
Anita,
channel.
are you asking whether we are currently
Yes, yeah, I'm just curious.
collecting money from our YouTube channel?
From YouTube, you know, if you allow ads to play on your YouTube videos, you make revenue.
Yeah, no, we are not.
Okay, I was just
think
curious.
we could monetize.
Yeah.
It would
Okay.
take a little bit more work on our part.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah,
Because YouTube selects the ads and they play. And then, yeah, like maybe a super short 1-minute video on the YouTube channel explaining the benefits and how to download it too could be helpful.
right.
Okay, so do we want to move people away from YouTube, or do we want to make YouTube, do we want to monetize YouTube and keep it?
I don't think we can monetize YouTube. I
Okay.
think what we do, if we start trying to monetize it, I think it's just gonna be more complicated for
Yes.
us. We have copyright issues then, because we get dinged for copyright all the time
Right.
because of our choir concerts, band
Right.
concerts, all that stuff.
So you would like to see YouTube go away eventually?
I mean, I guess we'd have to talk about that. What I see is the app being a more, a touch point that's more focused on the people that really want to know and are clued into what we're doing and stay tied into what's going on. YouTube is just another touch point, right? These are all just touch points to our community. We can certainly try to get rid of YouTube, but I could make arguments that YouTube is so ubiquitous and everybody and their brother knows about YouTube. Why would we just try to go away from YouTube when it's the biggest social media platform today?
Well, we've introduced this app, and so now now it's like, we bought the puppy,
Right,
cute puppy. Now we have a dog
right.
that needs to be walked and fed, and it's expensive, right? So now we have to.
I think we just need, yeah, I guess I feel like we need to promote it and get people to use it. But then I think city council and city in general either needs to buy in that, yes, we want to have this extra touch point for $2,500 a year, or we don't.
Okay. If we can get our numbers up, it'll be an easier sell to city
Yes.
council. Bill,
Yes,
did you have a question?
What Anita was suggesting kind of segued into an idea I was thinking about, and I haven't been to high school sports events in years, but are there print programs that are distributed or sold like at football games or?
I believe they still do. Yeah, I believe they still do.
What if every piece of like print material that's distributed at a sporting event has the, you can watch a replay of that great touchdown or the, fantastic play your kid just made, download the Monona Go app. And
That's a great question that we should probably ask Katie. Maybe there's some legality there that they can't go promoting apps regardless of who it is. I don't know, but that's a great question to
I
ask.
would not, I mean, that would be a good kind of symbiotic thing to do, and it would be zero.
Huge.
If they could do something like that, and then Teresa, to your point about YouTube, I've always felt like the app is complementary to YouTube, and YouTube has functionality that the app doesn't have.
Okay,
That it's a fright show to look at. I agree. It's really ugly and distracting, but I can take a link of last week's committee meeting and then I can email that to somebody. I can't do that.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to,
Okay.
yes, we bought a new puppy. That doesn't mean we have to get rid of the cat.
And the other thing is the Google searches with YouTube. If you type in 2015 fall choir concert and Monona Grove High School, they'll pop up in Google to the video of the concert and you can find it easily. Because YouTube's owned by Google, so you get the benefit of those search results.
Yeah. That's a good point too. Both those are great points.
Yeah, you can share it with people. That's so true. I never thought about that.
And yeah, totally the search engine optimization of the whole thing.
Okay, so we've got a lot of really great strategies that people have shared. So in addition to running an ad in the programs for events at the high school, there are also like Friday folders that go home with the kids from the elementary school. All their stuff is in there. Can you think of anything else that we could like send home with the kids? I mean, that middle schoolers don't really have that sort of thing, right? It's just the elementary school kids that they get the Friday folders, right?
Concert programs.
Concert programs. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Okay. And Will, did you say Katie was the person that would know how to make that happen?
I just mentioned her because she's on our committee and
Sure.
she,
Okay.
clearly she's a communications person. She I mean, I could ask the athletic director too. I'm sure, I would like to think he's probably been approached by a number of organizations wanting their information on the program, so he may have some guidelines on that.
So like we've got, okay, there's also, I'm thinking like parent newsletters that go out, I remember from like
Mhm.
schools. Okay,
Yep.
okay. So Will, are you, I mean, I don't want to dump all this on your plate. I'm racking up all these to-dos, this task list. Is it,
I can reach out, I'll reach out to the athletic director. I see him almost every day at the high school, and I will talk to the person who creates the family newsletter at the high school to just have it be on that newsletter, like at the bottom somewhere, you know, every newsletter just ends up being a stationary thing.
what about, yeah, and I like this, like never miss a concert or a game, catch up on, I mean, that's like those bullet points. That's fantastic. Android or Apple, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then what about like the Friday folders at the elementary school? Does anyone here have a connection to how that works? Or Will, is that also you? I don't know.
I don't, what is that, Winnequa? I don't, I mean, I can
Yeah.
I
read.
can help with that. I'm in the PTO in the Winnequa school, and I pretty much do all the marketing and flyers. So I can for sure
Sweet.
get it in the Friday folders. They are pretty effective, and I can also share in
They're
the
super
PTO
effective.
social
You could-
media.
You could do a little self-serving promotion to your show then too.
There you go.
Does the PTO have its own newsletter?
Yeah.
There's another one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to ask the other members of the PTO, but I'm
So
sure.
can I, even though you're not even a member, I'm already giving you work. Can I put your name on PTO newsletter and the Friday folders?
Mine?
Yeah, is that all right?
I'm in the PTO.
Yeah. So how can we get an ad for the Monona Go app to appear in the PTO newsletter?
Oh, you just send it to me.
Okay, send it, okay.
Just send it to me and I'll make sure we put it in there.
And then Will, we can just use the same ad that we've already used before and add the bullet points that Anita talked about, right?
Right.
All right. All right. Is there anything more to say about Monona Go? Let's wrap up the meeting. It's 6:35. Are there anything, Will, do you have anything to share as far as like reports?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot going on. Joe can probably share a lot. I can share a lot. We talked about, Shalena's here. We talked about that. We've got a better relationship with Mesbo. We were at Edgar. We're going to be going to the Good Morning Monona breakfast or whatever they do. We're working with Friends of San Damiano for their September 8th big, huge auction black tie event. Bill and I met with Pat Howell today for making a video. So that's a quick turnaround. Yeah, Joe probably has a ton of stuff. I mean, we're on the verge of starting football season next Thursday, and then school will start just like that. So Joe, I don't know if you got any quick radio updates.
Well, I mean, it's been a busy summer. We have a few new shows in addition to Shalene that have started or are starting in the next month or so, which is great. So a lot of really good new content. The Friends have had a busy summer at the festivals. I tried to send an email to everyone, including, excuse me, including the sign-up information to volunteer at Orton Park. And I would invite everyone on the committee to come and join us at the VMO tent. You'll get to meet a lot of the listeners and fans of the station, which is gratifying, and it's certainly anecdotal proof of the reach that WVMO has across the community, because we get a great response at these events. So, we're going full blazes. There are people here on this panel, Shalane and Bill and Dave has an iron in the fire. We'll keep you, we're gonna keep you in suspense about that one, but we're really looking forward to that. So a lot of really good things happening at the station. We've got some new volunteers who've been coming to pitch in, and we're really excited about doing fall football again this year. So a lot of good stuff going on at VMO.
Bill's show, The Lake Loop, I hear that often. I really like it. I've heard so many people with positive feedback about the segment you did about where does Monona end and Madison starts. I mean, people just loved that. Like, wow, I didn't know that. It was great.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that we need to cover tonight, guys? I think we're done. I think we've covered it all, have we not? If there's nothing more, is there a motion to adjourn?
No, there isn't.
We're just gonna stay here forever because we love each other so much.
Yes, I will move, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Dave. All in favor of adjourning? Aye.
I
It's 6:39. Sounds wonderful. We talked a lot. We had a